You know, by the time I turned 40, I thought I had life figured out. But let me tell you, I didn't. Not even close. It took years of failure, painful lessons, and moments where I had to hit rock bottom to realize what I'm about to share with you in this video. Now that I'm 44, I've come to understand that there are certain truths. They have changed my life, and they can change yours too. So in this video, tune in to learn about these things. Whether you're 18 or you're 80, these lessons will give you a roadmap to take control of your life, which is ultimately what you want to do. So let's dive into the 10 things that I didn't learn until I was 40 years old. And trust me, you're gonna want to hear this stuff. So stay tuned. Here we go. All right, kicking it off with lesson 1. Incremental change is often better than an ambitious failure. So let's start with this. I spent years shooting for the stars, going for the moon, thinking that success was all about these massive, giant leaps. And every time I failed, the fall got harder. And I got to the point where that I stopped even trying entirely. I gave up myself, and then I thought that failure was a blend of every part of my life. I lost all ambition. But here's what I've finally learned. Success isn't a going big all at once thing. It's about showing up every single day. It's about one small step and then taking another and then taking another. Dream big, fuck yeah, but break it down. Commit to the small wins, the little victories. And over time, those small wins are gonna stack up into something remarkable. Success is not an overnight achievement. It is a long journey that may include a lot of failures, but you gotta stick with it. Onward to lesson 2. We are what we repeatedly do. Now, I spent years being the most disciplined screw-up that you'll ever meet. I had a bad habit for every single day of the week, whether it was drinking, using drugs, procrastinating, you name it. But when I finally replaced those habits with actions that eventually started to build me up, guess what? Everything changed. Motivation isn't some magical feeling that appears out of nowhere. It's a habit you build through consistency. When you repeat something enough, you don't even need motivation. You're already doing it. Excellence isn't an act, it's a freaking habit. So here's the takeaway. Stop waiting to feel motivated because it's not coming and start building habits. They'll carry you further than any burst of inspiration ever will. Lesson 3. I may not have gone where I intended to, but guess what? I ended up where I needed to be. Now, life has this funny way of redirecting you, even if you don't want to be. And I always dreamed of being someone who could change the lives of others, who could make an impact in the world. But I took detours I never expected. And I ended up in some of the darkest places that I never intended to be. And yet, here I am. And those detours, they weren't mistakes. They were lessons to be learned. They helped shape me into the person I am today. Success is not a straight path. It's a windy road. So if you're feeling stuck or you're feeling lost, let me be the first to tell you, just because your path isn't linear doesn't mean that you're not moving forward. Sometimes the road you didn't plan that you're on is the one you're on, but it will ultimately lead you exactly where you need to be. So trust in yourself and just know that failure is not the end of the world. It's just an opportunity for you to learn. So let your path be windy, let it be long, but just keep on walking it. All right, we're moving around to lesson 4, which is those who can't change their minds can't change anything. Now, change starts with a decision, not a wish, not a fucking hope, a decision. When I was stuck in my worst moments, I believed that nothing would ever get better. And you know what? I was right, because I wasn't willing to change my mind. But the moment that I decided to change and that it was possible, but not that it was only possible, it was necessary, guess what? Things began to shift. And here's the truth. If you believe that life will always be the same, guess what? It's always going to be the same. But if you decide that you're going to make some change, no matter what it is, and back it up with some fucking action, then what happens is magic happens. So start to take action. Thoughts or hopes or wishes that are not coupled with action are nothing but fucking dreams. Dreams are great only when you actually do something with them. All right, folks, we're already halfway there at lesson 5, which is everybody wants to be somebody, but no one wants to put in the effort to grow. So for years, I wanted to be someone else. I pretended to be more successful, to be more confident, to be someone that I just wasn't. But all that pretending, it didn't make me happy. It made me feel like a phony. So here's what I've learned. Growth, it doesn't come from pretending to be something you're not. It comes from owning your flaws, owning your shit, facing your fears, and doing the work to become a better person than you were meant to be. So when you stop chasing who you think you're supposed to be and start embracing who you really are, that's when life starts to get good. That's when true growth happens. That's when people can really like you. When you're faking it, people are falling in love with something that's not real. And you know that. So you can never truly feel loved. And then when people find out that you are a fake, everything fucking blows up and your credibility is destroyed. What's so wrong with you anyway? Why would you want to fake it? I know my reasons. I was just an insecure guy. What are your reasons? But the bottom line is the only way to find out who truly is going to accept you is to start being who you truly are. Lesson 6, my friends. The right people are out there, but you have to be ready to find them. You see, here's the thing. I spent a whole lot of my life around the wrong people. People who didn't push me, they didn't help me grow, or they didn't challenge me to be better. And for a long time, I thought that these were my people, that they were my friends. But here's the stark truth. The right people are out there and they exist, but they won't find you if you're not ready for them. So you gotta become the kind of person who attracts the right kind of relationships, the right kind of friends, mentors, and even romantic partners. If you wonder why you're single, there's probably a good reason. So start with fixing yourself. Fix your mindset, fix your habits, and focus on these things. And when you level up, you'll find yourself surrounded by people who want to grow with you. Lesson number 7, here we go. Failure is not final. Guess what? It's just some feedback. So here's the hard truth. Failure isn't an optional. It is inevitable. And for years, I thought that failure meant that I wasn't good enough. But you know what I've learned since then? Failure isn't final. It's just a form of feedback. So every time you fall, life is giving you information. It's showing you what doesn't work so you can figure out what does work. The only time failure becomes permanent is when you give up, which I see happen all the time. So don't feel fear of failure, embrace it, learn from it, and use it as fuel to keep moving forward. Ignore the naysayers. Are they trying to do what you're trying to do? No. So don't listen to their shit. And just because you don't get it right doesn't mean that you're wrong. It just means that you're wrong in that instance. But if you make some small changes and you try again, you might just get it right. But you might not get it right on the first attempt. You might not get it right on the second attempt. But by golly, if you keep trying and you keep changing, failure will go away. And then guess what it's replaced with? Success. And then guess what you could say to the naysayers? Look at me, bitch. Guess what? Self-improvement, that's the best revenge. Now, lesson 8's a real banger, so listen up. Stop comparing yourself to others, guys. Comparison's a trap. And when I fell into that years ago, I look at other people, their lives, their successes, their highlights, and I feel like I wasn't good enough. But here's what I've learned since then. You're not running their race. You're running your own race. The only person that you should compare yourself to is the person you were yesterday. So focus on your own progress, your own growth, because the moment you stop comparing yourself, you feel lighter, freer, and more capable of reaching your goals. So make it a simple thing. If you're trying to improve, then just become 1% better of the version that you were of today before the person you were yesterday. And if you think for a second, but then you tune into Instagram and you see these people on these lavish trips or they got the perfect body, guess what? You don't know their backstory. They could have the most miserable fucking lives. And sometimes that's what we find out. It's all a facade. Anyone can smile for a picture. Hell, I've done it. People have sometimes contacted me like, damn, I wish I had your life. Really? Do you know that sometimes I'm so depressed that I can't get off the fucking couch? I don't post that shit on Instagram, but it's the reality of it. But you don't know that. So why would you want to compare yourself to somebody else when you are the most important thing in this world, really? So stop comparing yourself to others. That's this lesson. Here we are, lesson 9. Guess what? Money doesn't solve everything, but it does solve a lot. So let's be honest. Money, it isn't everything. But if you've ever been broke like I was for a long time, you know that it solves a whole lot of problems. It gives you freedom, it gives you options, and it gives you the ability to focus on what really matters in life instead of worrying about your finances, how you're going to pay your next bill. But here's the catch. You got to respect money. So budget it, save it, invest it, but don't let it control you, okay? But don't ignore it either. Money is a tool. Learn to use it wisely, and it will take you further than you ever imagined. They say the size of your bank account determines your relationship with money. So how much money do you have in the bank? $1, $10, $100, $1,000? Well, maybe you're spending too much. Okay? It's probably not a matter of not making enough money. I know people that make $200,000 a year and they ain't got 50 cents in the fucking bank. Because you know why? They live a $400,000 life. They've got to have the 5,000 square foot house instead of something a little more modest because they're trying to keep up with the Jones. So money isn't the end all be all, but when you have it, it can make things a whole lot more comfortable. So you don't need a lot of it, but what you do is you just do something simple. Here's something that I did that made all the difference in my finances. I literally started a savings account and I would put $10 in that account every single paycheck. And then over time, it grew to doing $20, then $30, then $40, because I learned that I didn't miss the money. I didn't need it. It would be wasted on something else. Now I invest 25% of every single check, not to mention the other things I do. Okay? I don't have to be rich, but guess what? I'm really fucking comfortable because I learned a really valuable lesson. So here's a freebie for you. Live within your means, and you're not going to be fucking stressed out about money all the goddamn time. This has probably been one of the hardest lessons for me personally, but it's to share your story so you can inspire someone else. I used to think that my story didn't matter, that my mistakes, that my failures, that my struggles were just things that I was supposed to be ashamed of. But here's what I've learned. Your story has so much power. There's someone out there who needs to hear what you've been through, your journey, your lessons, and they can inspire someone else who is going to take the first step to believe, finally, for once, that change is possible because of what you said. So don't hide your story. Share it, because you never know who it might help by being honest about where you've been and how far you come. And that one was, like I said, a very hard one for me to learn because I didn't want people to know how bad I've fucked up over time. But until I finally learned to be courageous enough to do so, the depth of my failure, it is very deep. Okay, you have to tune into the episode where I talk about that. It is deeper than you would ever believe. But now when you find out where I'm at today, it gives a measurement of how far someone can come. It gives hope that no matter how bad you've messed up, you can first change and then you can grow. And that message is so inspiring because there are so many people struggling because guess what? They haven't always been a perfect person, but yet society, they act like we need to be. Like you can't make a mistake. Well, guess what? Sometimes we just do stupid shit. It doesn't make you a bad person. It just means you did something stupid and dumb. But if you learn from it and you do something about it and you don't repeat it, well, then there's some growth. How do you know that someone isn't going through the same thing that you are? Okay? And so your story may help validate to them that they're not alone in the world. But I got to be honest with you. That was the lesson. That's why I made it number 10. That took me the longest to come to grips with because honestly, I was just too afraid of what people might think if they knew about some of the mistakes I made. But then guess what I also learned? I learned that most of the time, not all the time, most of the time, I got a lot of respect and people would come up to me and say, thank you. Thank you. I thought I was the only one who had made that kind of mistake. And to see where you are now, they say, I would have never looked at you and thought that you would have ever been capable of that. Well, yeah, I was. I was a world-class fuck-up for a while, but I did a really good job of not looking the part. So when I finally open up and admit the depths of my mistakes, it gives people the freedom to own their own mistakes. So share your message. It might save someone's life. At the very least, it'll make you an honest and a courageous person. All right, my friends. These are the 10 lessons that I wish I had learned sooner than 40. And they've changed my life. And I hope that they can change yours too. So if any of this resonated with you, let me know in the comments. What's your story? What lessons have you learned along the way? And if you found value here, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. Because together, we can grow stronger, we can grow wiser, and we can be better. I'll see you in the next video.